Don't start preparing that plate of vegetables just yet, because if your kidneys are already under stress, some vegetables that look clean, fresh, and healthy may actually be making your kidneys work harder every single day. If your creatinine is high, your GFR is low, your blood pressure is difficult to control, you have diabetes, or your feet and ankles often swell, then this is something you need to hear very carefully. Maybe you drink a vegetable smoothie because you think it helps cleanse the body. Maybe you eat a large salad because you believe more vegetables always means better health. Or maybe you cook certain vegetables every week because you were told they are good for the blood, good for detox, and good for the kidneys. But here is the truth. When your kidneys are weak, not every vegetable is your friend. Some vegetables are lighter. They are easier for the body to handle. They may place less pressure on the kidneys and help meals feel simpler and safer. But other vegetables may contain too much potassium, too many oxalates, or too much mineral load for weakened kidneys to manage well. And the most dangerous part is this. You often do not feel the damage right away. No loud warning, no sharp pain, no clear sign at the dinner table telling you to stop. You keep eating the same way. You keep believing you are doing the healthy thing. And then one day, your lab results come back worse than before, and senior nutrition expert asks you a question that shakes you. What have you been eating lately? That question surprises many people because the very foods they thought were helping their body may actually be exhausting their kidneys little by little. In this video, you are going to learn 4 vegetables that are often a smarter choice for people trying to protect their kidneys. But even more importantly, you will learn 4 vegetables that may look healthy, look harmless, and look natural, yet can quietly create problems when your kidneys are already struggling. Watch closely until the end, because the last vegetable on the avoid list is one many people still trust completely. They think it supports the blood, they think it cleans the body, they think it must be healthy. But for weak kidneys, it may be one of the easiest mistakes to make. This does not mean you need to fear all vegetables. It means you need to stop asking only one question: is this vegetable healthy? And start asking the more important question: is this vegetable right for my kidneys? Because those are not always the same thing. Before we go into the list, understand one simple idea. Your kidneys are like 2 quiet filters working day and night. They clean the blood, they help remove waste, they help balance fluids, they help control minerals. And when they are healthy, the body can usually handle food much more easily. But when the kidneys are weak, even small extra burdens can start to matter. A little too much potassium here, a little too much oxalate there, too much sodium from seasonings, too much fluid from soups and drinks. Small things may not seem important in one meal, but repeated day after day, they add up. And as many people say, small mistakes repeated often do not stay small for long. So let's begin with the first 4 vegetables you may want to keep on the table more often if you are trying to protect your kidneys. And remember, this is not a replacement for medical advice. If you have kidney disease, rising creatinine, low GFR, high potassium, swelling, or a fluid restriction, always speak with senior nutrition expert or a renal dietitian before changing your diet. Now let's begin with the first vegetable. The first one is zucchini. Zucchini may not look exciting, it is not trendy, it is not sold as some miracle food. But sometimes the most ordinary vegetable is exactly what the body needs. Zucchini is light, it contains a lot of water, it is usually easy to digest, and for many kidney-conscious meal plans, it feels gentler than heavier vegetables that bring more mineral stress. Think of it this way. Some vegetables ask weak kidneys to carry a heavy load uphill. Zucchini is more like giving the kidneys a flatter road. It does not feel harsh. It does not sit too heavily in the stomach. And when cooked simply, it can fit into regular meals without creating too much pressure. That can be especially helpful for older adults who feel bloated easily, have slower digestion, or already know their kidney numbers are not where they used to be. The best way to eat zucchini is simple. Steam it lightly, boil it briefly, or saute it gently with a small amount of olive oil. Add a little lemon juice or mild herbs if you want flavor. Just do not ruin it with salty sauces, packaged seasonings, or too much cheese, because sometimes the problem is not only the vegetable. Sometimes the problem is everything poured on top of it. A simple vegetable can be gentle, But once it is covered in sodium, oil, and processed toppings, it becomes something very different. So if you want a quiet, reliable vegetable that often feels easier on the kidneys, zucchini is a strong place to start. Now let's move to the second vegetable. That is red bell pepper. When people think of healthy vegetables, they often imagine dark leafy greens. But for weak kidneys, dark green does not always mean safer. Sometimes the smarter choice is brighter, lighter, and easier to manage. And that is where red bell pepper comes in. Red bell pepper brings color, freshness, and a mild natural sweetness to the plate. That matters more than people think, because many people with kidney problems also need to reduce salt. And when salt goes down, meals can begin to feel flat and joyless. Red bell pepper helps solve that problem. It gives food flavor without forcing you to depend on salty bottled sauces or processed seasonings. It can be roasted until soft and sweet. It can be sliced and lightly sautéed. It can be paired with zucchini or cabbage. And just a small amount can make the whole plate feel more inviting. For people watching kidney health, red bell pepper is often a more comfortable option than certain other vegetables that may bring more potassium burden when eaten often or in concentrated form. It also adds natural antioxidants. And while antioxidants are not magic, they matter because kidneys live among tiny blood vessels, and those blood vessels do not like years of high blood pressure, diabetes, or chronic stress. You can think of those tiny blood vessels like delicate pipes in an older home. When too much pressure keeps pushing through them, they weaken over time. That is why simple, sensible food choices matter. But be careful here. Do not assume all red bell pepper products are safe. Fresh is one thing. Jarred, heavily seasoned, pickled or processed versions are another. Those often come with too much sodium. And sodium is one of the fastest ways to make the body hold extra fluid, raise blood pressure, and make the kidneys work harder. So if you choose red bell pepper, choose it fresh, cook it simply, and let the vegetable do the work instead of the sauce. Now let's go to the third vegetable. That is cabbage. Cabbage is one of the most underestimated vegetables in the kitchen. It is not expensive. It is not glamorous. It does not look like a superfood. But sometimes the foods people overlook are the ones that quietly help the most. Cabbage contains fiber, and that matters because your body does not depend on the kidneys alone to manage waste. The gut also matters. If the bowels are slow and waste is not moving out well, the body can feel heavier and more burdened overall. In simple words, when the exit is not working smoothly, the filter often feels more pressure. That is why cabbage can be useful in a kidney-conscious diet when it is used properly. It may help meals feel lighter. It may support more regular digestion. And for many people, that makes the whole body feel easier to manage. The best way to use cabbage is again very simple. Lightly steam it. Boil it briefly. Or sauté it gently with very little oil. Add lemon or mild herbs if needed. Do not drown it in salt. Do not load it with buttery sauces. Do not mix it with powdered broths or processed dressings. And there is one more important point. Even healthy vegetables can become a problem when portions get excessive. Too much cabbage can cause gas, bloating, and discomfort for some people, especially older adults. So the smart approach is moderation. Not too much, not too often, not a giant bowl just because it is a vegetable. Used wisely, cabbage can be one of those simple foods that gives the body support without too much drama. Now let's move to the fourth vegetable you may want to prioritize. That is cucumber. Cucumber is one of the lightest, freshest vegetables you can put on a plate. It feels cool, it feels clean, it makes meals feel less heavy. And for many people trying to eat more carefully, that can be a real advantage. Cucumber contains a lot of water and usually feels easier than denser vegetables that may be harder on weak kidneys. Think of cucumber like a cool breeze in a stuffy room. It is not intense, but it changes how everything feels. It can make a plate look brighter. It can help meals feel more refreshing. And when paired with something like red bell pepper or lightly cooked cabbage, it can help the whole meal feel simpler and cleaner. But there is something you must be careful about. If senior nutrition expert has told you to limit fluids, do not start drinking cucumber water, detox water, or giant vegetable drinks without thinking. Many people hear words like cleanse, flush, or detox, and assume more is better. That is not true for weak kidneys. Too much fluid can also be a burden for some people. It can contribute to swelling, shortness of breath, heaviness, and harder blood pressure control. So cucumber can be a very useful food, but it still has to fit your condition. Eat it as part of a sensible meal, keep the seasonings light, avoid drowning it in salty dressings, and do not turn it into an excuse to overdo fluids. So now we have gone through the first 4 vegetables that may be gentler options for many people trying to protect their kidneys: zucchini, red bell pepper, cabbage, and cucumber. They are not magic. They do not replace treatment, but they often make more sense than many of the vegetables people assume are automatically healthy. Now comes the more dangerous half of this conversation, because knowing what to eat is only half the story. The other half is knowing what may be quietly making your kidneys work harder. And the first vegetable on that list is spinach. Spinach has one of the healthiest reputations in the world. People blend it into smoothies, they pile it into salads, they cook it with eggs, they add it to soups, they drink it in green juices and feel proud of themselves. And for some healthy people, spinach may be fine. But for weak kidneys, spinach needs caution. Why? Because spinach can bring 2 big concerns: potassium and oxalates. Potassium is a mineral the body needs, but when kidneys are weak, too much potassium can become dangerous. The kidneys may not remove it efficiently, and when potassium rises too high, the risk is not small. It can affect the muscles and even the heart. Oxalates are another issue. They can contribute to crystal formation, which is especially concerning for people with a history of kidney stones or already stressed kidneys. The habit that becomes especially risky is this: green juice. A person may never sit down and eat a huge bowl of spinach, but they will blend a large handful into a drink and swallow it in a few minutes. That means the body receives a concentrated load much faster and in a larger amount than most people realize. That is where people get fooled. They think they are drinking health. But for weak kidneys, they may be drinking extra stress. If senior nutrition expert tells you a small amount is acceptable, then preparation matters. Boiling in water and discarding the water may reduce some of the burden, but even then, spinach is not something to treat casually if your kidney numbers are already struggling. So do not trust spinach just because it is famous. Healthy for the internet is not the same as safe for your kidneys. Now let's talk about the second vegetable to be careful with. That is tomato. Tomatoes seem harmless because they are so normal. They are in salads, soups, sauces, sandwiches, stews, and juices. They show up everywhere. That is exactly why they can become a problem. The issue is not always one tomato slice. The issue is repetition. A little tomato in the morning, tomato sauce at lunch, ketchup with dinner, soup later, juice somewhere in between. Each one seems small, but small amounts repeated throughout the day can become a significant load, especially when potassium needs to be watched. And then there is the bigger problem: concentrated tomato products. Tomato paste, pasta sauce, canned soup, ketchup, packaged sauces. These are often more concentrated and often much higher in sodium. That combination can be hard on weak kidneys. Too much sodium makes the body hold fluid. More fluid can mean more swelling. More swelling can mean more blood pressure problems. And higher blood pressure pushes the kidneys even harder. It becomes a circle that is difficult to break. This does not mean every single person with kidney issues must completely avoid tomatoes forever. But it does mean tomatoes are not something to eat freely just because they are common. And if you need a practical swap, roasted red bell pepper is often a smarter option for color, sweetness, and flavor. That is why one of the best strategies in kidney-friendly eating is not only removing certain foods, it is replacing them with gentler ones. Now let's move to the third vegetable that needs serious caution. That is Swiss chard. Swiss chard looks beautiful. It looks natural. It looks like something you would see in a clean, healthy kitchen, and many people assume that means it must be good for everyone. But weak kidneys do not care how beautiful a vegetable looks. They care about what they have to filter after you eat it. Swiss chard can be high in potassium and oxalates. That combination alone is enough to make it something many people with kidney concerns should treat carefully. Some people also believe that because a vegetable seems to make them urinate more, it must be helping the kidneys. But that is not always true. Making the body eliminate more fluid does not automatically mean the kidneys are being protected. Sometimes it simply means the system is being pushed harder. Think of weak kidneys like an old water filter. If the filter is already strained, forcing more through it does not automatically help. It may just wear it out faster. That is the mistake many people make with foods that sound cleansing or flushing. If senior nutrition expert or a renal dietitian allows a very small amount, then the cooking method and portion matter. But for many people with low GFR, high potassium, kidney stones or worsening kidney disease, Swiss chard is not something to treat casually. Natural does not always mean safe. That is a lesson many people learn too late. And now we come to the last vegetable on the avoid list. This is the one many people still trust the most. That vegetable is beet. Beets have a powerful health reputation. People praise them for the blood. They praise them for detox. They praise them for circulation. They praise them for energy. And because they are deeply red and naturally sweet, they look almost medicinal. But weak kidneys do not judge food by color. They judge food by workload. Beets can bring a potassium burden. They also contain natural sugar. And when beets are turned into juice, the problem becomes much bigger. Why? Because juice is concentrated. When you chew food, you slow down. You get fiber. You feel full sooner. But when you drink beet juice, you can take in a large amount very quickly. That can be especially unwise for someone who has both weak kidneys and diabetes, which is one of the most common causes of kidney damage in the first place. A person may believe they are drinking something protective every morning, while in reality, they may be giving the kidneys and blood sugar more work to handle. And beet greens need caution too. Some people hear, "Don't waste the greens," and start cooking them often. But beet greens can also be rich in compounds that may not be a good fit for people who need tighter kidney control. This is why beet can become the sweetest trap on the list. It looks healthy, it sounds healthy, it feels healthy, but weak kidneys need more than good intentions. They need the right burden. So now you know the 4 vegetables you may want to keep on the table more often: zucchini, red bell pepper, cabbage, and cucumber. And you know the 4 vegetables that deserve serious caution if your kidneys are already under stress: spinach, tomatoes, Swiss chard, and beets. But do not make the mistake of thinking this video is only about memorizing a list. The deeper lesson is this: stop eating according to food trends. Start eating according to your condition. A food may be healthy for a young athlete, healthy for somebody online, healthy for a person with normal kidney function. But that does not mean it is healthy for someone with high creatinine, low GFR, swelling, high blood pressure, diabetes, or a history of kidney stones. So what should you do next? First, find out your real numbers. Do not settle for vague phrases like, "Your kidneys are a little weak." Ask senior nutrition expert what your creatinine, GFR, and potassium levels actually are. Second, if possible, speak with a renal dietitian. General advice is not always enough. Kidney nutrition is specific. Sodium, potassium, oxalates, phosphorus, and fluids all matter. Third, start paying attention to repetition. Many people are not eating one dangerous food in a huge amount. They are eating a small amount again and again and again until it becomes a daily burden. And finally, cook more simply. Steam more, boil more, roast more, sauté lightly more often. Use fewer bottled sauces, use fewer seasoning powders, use less processed broth, use less canned food, use less salt. Simple food is not boring when it is chosen wisely, and for weak kidneys, simple food is often the safer road. Most importantly, do not become afraid of every bite. This is not about panic. This is about understanding. Your kidneys work quietly for you every single day. They do not complain loudly. They do not give you a speech before dinner. They simply keep filtering, balancing, and trying to protect your body as best they can. So every meal becomes a choice. You can make their job a little easier, or a little harder. And sometimes that difference is not a dramatic change. Sometimes it is choosing zucchini instead of spinach, choosing roasted red bell pepper instead of tomato sauce, choosing cabbage instead of Swiss chard, choosing cucumber on the plate instead of beet juice in the glass. These are not flashy decisions, but in health, Small decisions repeated consistently can change a lot. Now take a moment and think about your own kitchen. What vegetables are sitting in your refrigerator right now? Are they helping your kidneys rest? Or are they quietly asking your kidneys to do more than they can handle? That answer may begin to change your health with your very next meal. And before you leave, remember this. Today's message is not here to make you fear vegetables. It is here to help you stop making hidden mistakes with foods that only seem healthy on the surface. Because when your kidneys are weak, eating well is no longer about eating what sounds healthiest. It is about eating what is truly appropriate for your body right now. If you have kidney disease, swelling, diabetes, high blood pressure, high potassium, low GFR, rising creatinine, or a history of kidney stones, speak with senior nutrition expert before making major changes to your diet. Because one food may be acceptable for one person and a problem for another. One portion may be fine once in a while and too much every day. One cooking method may reduce some burden, but it does not make everything safe. Take it one step at a time, one better choice, one simpler meal, one smarter swap, one more careful look at what goes on your plate. Your kidneys have been working for you quietly for years, so starting today, care for them a little more gently. Not with fear, not with extreme rules, but with steady, practical choices that fit your condition. If this message helped you look at vegetables differently, share it with someone who may need it too. Because sometimes, one quiet food mistake repeated every day can become a much bigger problem later. And sometimes, better health begins with something as simple as the plate in front of you.